Regular meeting of the Salem City Council held in Council Chamber on Thursday, February 12, 2015 at 7:00 p.m. for the purpose of transacting any and all business. Notice of this meeting was posted on February 5th, 2015 at 6:18 p.m. This meeting is being taped and is live on SATV. Absent being none, Council President Sargent presided. Councilor O'Keefe moves to dispense with the reading of the record of the previous meeting. All those in favor? Opposed? Matter carries. President Sargent requested that everyone please rise and recite the pledge of allegiance. Led by Councilor.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Public testimony. Not going to exceed 15 minutes, but given a little bit of leeway, that's to those 15 minutes. First on the list, Mr. Kenneth Sawicki.
My name is Kenneth Sawicki, 40 School Street, Salem, Mass. First, I'd like to congratulate Arthur Sargent on accepting responsibilities of City Council President. Members of the City Council, thank you for this opportunity. I came before you as I did a year or so ago for the same reason as then. Last year, I was told I would be scheduled to appear again in the upcoming weeks, but I never was. The issues I raised were tabled, deemed unimportant, and never scheduled in a year's time. So I come here again on my own accord. First issue is public testimony. It is a welcomed opportunity to air concerns. Life's issues don't follow any schedule or any rules, as demonstrated by my 3 appearances last year. Public testimony doesn't go far enough. There are limitations. 1, the opportunity only comes twice a month. 2, rules shouldn't impede anyone from speaking. These rules are waived for some and not for others. In my case, it went to a vote. I was prevented from speaking on my first appearance by a vote of 6 to 5. I thank the 5 councilors who honored their oath of office and abided by the Constitution of the United States. Their vote was for freedom of speech. The 6 councilors in opposition violated their oath of office and never even asked what the issue was. For this reason, I ask that the rules reflect openness and fairness to public viewpoints. No one should be prevented from speaking. My second issue. The second issue is homelessness in Salem. There's no winter protocol for a second year in a row at LifeBridge. They no longer take in anyone who comes to the door when the temperatures fall below 40 degrees. LifeBridge no longer does outreach services. They don't look for people in the street. They turn people away. They kick people out for various reasons as a form of punishment. They ban people for a week, a month, a year, and a lifetime. These people aren't allowed as much as a meal. If only under very extreme weather conditions a ban is lifted, when and how do they notify anyone? Last year, a homeless person was burned trying to keep warm. This year, a person nearly suffered burns when they caught fire. Another came to City Hall to voice their feelings of despair, only to find himself promptly locked up in jail. This week's paper told of a police finding someone in need of shelter at 7:20 p.m. The person was turned away at LifeBridge until 10 p.m. In one of 2 recent articles in the Salem News on homeless shelters of Salem and Beverly, the Salem Executive Director, Jason Etheridge, was quoted as saying, "He was comfortable, no one was in the street." Here lies the problem: attitude. This statement shows no empathy, no compassion, and no caring for those he's employed to serve. The practices at LifeBridge leave the most vulnerable, the most troubled, and the least able to help themselves out of luck and out in the cold. Recently, a meeting on homelessness was held with officials from both Salem and Beverly. What has come of it now that winter is in full swing? I said it before, our mayor turns a blind eye to this issue. Now she turns a deaf ear too when she failed to show up for that meeting. I ask you, reconsider addressing these issues. Thank you. God bless you all.
Thank you, Mr. Sawicki. Next being Mr. Patrick Curtin.
Pat Curtin, 19 Raymond Avenue. I'm just here briefly to speak on two issues, one of which is the finance report that will be coming out today on the funding of legal fees for the neighborhood in South Salem and the battle against Salem State in the garage. I would strongly recommend the entire council please keep this in committee, because what has surfaced in the meantime and just got available to us last Tuesday was the traffic report that was commissioned by the council, and we haven't had this in our hands, and it wasn't available at the time when Mr. Krieger, our lawyer, was talking to the city solicitor and the mayor. And we feel that there is adequate reason to have this included in any review that the garage is going on. So I would ask you, please, when you discuss this, to vote to keep this in committee. The other thing is, I would ask you to support Councilor O'Keefe's motion that this traffic review be reviewed by the council on the whole in a very timely manner, because the construction trailers are on site, and the projected start of this project is sometime in March, fully knowing what the weather is. But when they open up that ground and dig that first shovel, there's going to be little chance for us to have an adequate input, and it's too late after the fact. And when things are done and over with, we don't want to be standing there saying, why do we allow this to happen, and we didn't have proper input by the council. So briefly, if you could please support this motion by Councilor myself, all the members of the South Salem neighbors and the SOS committee would greatly appreciate your attention to it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Curtin. T.Z. Riley Goggin.
T.C. Riley Goggin, 9 Wisteria Street. I agree with everything that my colleague, Dr. Pat Curtin, just said. Also, I want you to keep in mind that SOS, Save Our Salem, we're more than just about a parking garage, this entire group. We're about also the students that go to Salem State. We're also about the fees that students at Salem State are being charged. Some people sitting before me right now have gone to Salem State. They graduated from Salem State. They're alumnus. But because you're alumnus, it doesn't mean that you forget when you were a student. Your role in life here as a counselor is to take care of people who need taken care of. The administration at Salem State does not need taken care of. What Salem State administration needs is the facts that they live, some of them, in this city. They should respect being in this city. They feel as if they can do anything they want at Salem State University right now. Some people came out in the paper and talked about what is right and what is wrong. And right now I'm looking people and I'm saying, is it right for Salem University to come into this city and do anything and everything that they want? I don't know anymore. I'm thoroughly confused. I feel as if the democracy that we have here in this city is no more. I feel as if there is a large dictatorship. I feel as if many of us right now are in bondage. And where you go from that, I'm not quite sure. But I really want you to stop and think. Should I be taking care of administration at Salem University? Or should I be taking care of the students who need help? This is a public, not a private, public university. But right now, the fees are going up, up, up. The garage right now is up to $29 million. It started at 16. This is going to be paid not by us, the taxpayers, they say. It's going to be paid for by the students. The students at Salem University are going to have large student loans. They're going to have an albatross around their neck even before they get out. And many of our college students right now are not even sure if they're going to have jobs. So before you take votes and everything and say, SOS is not important, you're important to SOS. You're important to the students at Salem University. Think before some of the votes that you take. Consideration. Put yourself where they are, where you were before. On another note, changing hats, I would like to talk about one George Washington. George Washington has been allocated outside of this fair chamber for quite a few years. One of my dear friends and a respected Senator Joan Lovely has spoken in this chamber many, many times about bringing that guy back in here. Now we're going to say, tonight, I believe it's on the agenda, you're going to bring it up. There was a time that I thought of asking former Councilor Sosnowski to get his boat and float him in here like George did crossing the Delaware. But we didn't do it. But right now, I'm saying, where are we going to get the money to do this? And I'm saying George Washington is a great historian, and some of the greatest history in our places comes from the PEM, the Peabody Essex Museum. And I say that we should pick up the phone and call them and say, would you pay for a ride for George to come into the chamber, come out of the cold and into the warm? Thank you.
Thank you. Any announcements by councilors? Councilor Fury.
Mr. President, fellow members, point of personal privilege. Last night at the Salem Housing Authority, Cal McGowan, Director, requested the board of Salem Housing Authority to vote on no smoking in public housing. And last night's vote was unanimous. And I am pleased here to congratulate and commend Cal McGowan and the Board of Directors of the Salem Housing Authority for being the second city in town to ban housing in public housing. We now know that there's no smoking areas in restaurants, Salem State University, courthouses, Partners Hospital, municipal buildings like the City Hall, all public schools, the Peabody Essex Museum. Cal McGowan had the courage and did the time, effort, research with our board. In fact, Mr. Ramden is in the chambers tonight. She even outreached to our health agent, Larry Ramden, about the process of educating the residents of the Salem Housing Authority, and they polled the residents, they interviewed the residents, they had public meetings with them. This has been a long stance. I can remember 18 years ago, where Councilor Epley is, I sat there in my first year, and I made a recommendation 18 years ago as a young freshman, first recommendation to ban smoking in public housing. And I had heard about a resident that had in Salem on Charter Street that was put into Charter Street back and forth after 3 fires. 3 different fires. She was in and out of that. So I said, time to make a decision. And I asked the city council, and it didn't act on it, it's sad to say. Last year, the state of Massachusetts gave approval to local housing authorities in the state of Massachusetts, saying, if you want, you may, into your judgment, ban public smoking. Danvers was the first one on the North Shore. And other cities and towns now, with Salem's leadership and Danvers' leadership, will now ban smoking in public housing. And I think it's long overdue. And I congratulate Cal McGowan and the board for setting such a bold, brave move for public health, safety, and the environment, and a climate for public housing for young people, old people. As we all know, there are people that have oxygen tanks throughout public housing. Some of them have oxygen tanks, and some of them smoke, some other residents smoke. I think it's an accident about to happen. And I think what they did is they did a very thoughtful, methodical way, and I wish to congratulate Frank, your husband, Councilor Miles, who's on the Salem Housing Authority, to be one of those votes to make it unanimous. Very brave of them, and I congratulate them. Thanks for the opportunity to say this, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Fury. Councilor Epley. Councilor McCarthy. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for a point of personal privilege. I just want to take a brief moment and say thank you to all those guys and women who work for DPS, who have been out there. And I'm not going to sit here and say it couldn't be better, it could be, but they are out there doing their best. I mean, when you talk about since the last time we were in this chamber, because it happened to be a 5-week month in January, to now, if you told me we'd have upwards of 5 feet of snow where we hadn't seen one flake, in the month of January, I would say, wow. I just want to give John Tomaz, all his crews, everybody who's contracted to work for DPS, a thank you. I mean, we're asking them to do, the words have been thrown around, epic, historic. It's a lot of snow. There's no place to put it. We're all in the same boat. I mean, as much as we all, as ward councilors, field those phone calls and pass them on to John. John and his guys have been as responsive as they can to try to do what they're doing. As we're speaking right now, members of the National Guard are out there. We've contracted out with Grenice and Sons to do removals. I mean, it's out there, it's epic, it's all of that, but a big thank you to everyone, and I would just say, I'll take something from what Aaron Rodgers said when the Green Bay Packers lost the first 2 games of the season. Relax. Everyone needs to just take a relaxing moment, take a step back, appreciate what's happened, and be safe as we do whatever we have to do to try to go about our regular, everyday lives and allow these guys to keep doing what they're doing, because sometimes we forget that they have lives too, they have families, and on top of what they do for snow removal, these guys double up. I mean, think about every time you hear over the police scanner, water main break. These guys sometimes are going from 24 hours of plowing snow to home for 6-7 hours, then into a hole in the ground with frozen water coming out at them to try to get part of Salem back to have water. And that's what's been happening for the last 3 or 4 weeks. So I didn't mean to take this much time, but I just want to say thank you to all of them. I mean, thank you to everybody who's in the mayor's office, because as much as we get those calls, some people's first call is 978-745-9595. Can I speak to the mayor? And they're getting an earful too, and they do a Herculean job trying to process all that. I know that the clerk's office, every department in the city's been inundated, and I want to thank them all for the efforts. It's unfortunately, someone just asked me, Bob, did you lose your razor? I said, I kind of promised myself I wasn't going to shave until it stopped snowing, but I think I might be really, get really long if that happens. But anyway, just thank you to John and all the guys and everybody who's helped out throughout this whole process. I would just encourage everyone, if you have an issue, just call. We're putting them in order. We're trying to deal with them on a case-by-case basis, and they're doing their best, and we're just going to keep doing it.
Thank you for echoing all of our concerns, and also thank all the councilors for taking all the emails and forward them in the right direction to the right people to try and get this work done. And we did have a 16-hour water main break on Dead Man's Curve right in the middle of the blizzard, so thank you very much. Councilor Torrey will be in next.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. President. Point of personal privilege, I want to echo what my colleague said, and also I want to reflect uncomfortably that I think that by the time the snow stops, the good councilor's beard will resemble that of a ZZ Top member, probably, by the time it's over.
By the time it melts.
Yeah, right. I want to echo this, and also, just discuss briefly, the mayor's office has been very good about putting out in public and sharing it through emails and the city website and social media, the plans and the stages that they're doing and the processes that they're using right now for snow removal. Right now, we've also added crews and equipment from the construction team that has been masked to build the new power plant. We have resources from them coming into the fray as well now for snow removal, and some of their heavy equipment is being brought to bear. The city has gotten permission to dump it in the ocean if we need to, and that's probably coming pretty darn soon now. We have snow farms that we're filling up rapidly down by the Willows, out at Gallows Hill. There's probably a few other places we can stuff the snow if necessary. Hopefully this next storm over the weekend doesn't add too much to the total. I think we're all kind of crossing our fingers on that. I'm glad tonight has proven not to be the bigger storm that they were thinking it would be earlier in the week. That helps. All the people who are working pretty much around the clock, including the National Guardsmen who've started working here, have been terrific for us, and it's been tremendous to have all these people contributing. I know the next thing that the city's doing is they have a crew Now, among the snow removal crews, they have a crew that's dedicated to trying to knock down and remove piles, some that are on some of the corners all throughout the neighborhoods, and get out there and start removing it some of the other streets. They've been working primarily in the Derby Street neighborhood yesterday and around some portion of Ward 2 near the Common. They were working in the Point today. They're working throughout the neighborhoods. An updated list of what the snow removal operations are, parking restrictions associated with it and all the like are updated frequently on the City of Salem website. And also, if you see issues, and I know many of us members have spoken to this before during these meetings, but the tool that the city is using for reporting of issues called See, Click, Fix. There's a link to it right on the front page of the city's website. It's a very, very good tool for reporting issues, tracking issues. I've been using it frequently, besides all the other communication. I know most of my colleagues are also doing that. I think at some point that Councilor Fury might even get a smartphone just so he can use that tool, perhaps at some point. But, well, maybe not quite that far, but. But it's been a really difficult few weeks. I think I can speak on behalf of everybody that we appreciate all the patience that we're getting from people. We're doing our best to try and get the issues that you bring up to us and report to the city addressed. We're trying to check on them and follow up, and everything we can do to try and help get through this, short of trying to figure out how to operate the plows ourselves, we're all doing. So, thank you to the entire city of Salem for your patience, and spring is coming soon, I hope.
Councilor Epley?
Thank you, Mr. President. As a point of personal privilege, I want to echo what my past two colleagues had mentioned regarding the snow. I also, unfortunately, I want to take a somber note here in regard to the death of Ali Dupuis, who was an 84-year-old resident on Madeline Street who passed away from exposure outside of her home during one of the snowstorms that took place over the past couple of weeks. And I think that serves as a great reminder, even in a very tight-knit, close neighborhood like Madeline Avenue and Ravenna, even there, it's extraordinarily important for all of us to be snow angels, if we're able to help out our elderly neighbors and friends, to dig out, even when the plows come back and the sidewalk that was perfectly, shoveled before, it ends up, inundated again with snow. We need neighbors to be neighbors, and I know a lot of you are doing that at home, and I know that we appreciate that here, but Ali Dupuis is a major reason why all of us need to make sure that we check in on our neighbors, make sure that they have what they need. We all know that, but I just want to raise that as an issue for everyone. And also, Mr. President, if we could just have a moment of silence on Ms. Dupuis' behalf, I would greatly appreciate it.
Thank you. Please stand. Silence. Well, Ms. Dupuis. Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a point of personal privilege that the health department still has flu shots available for anyone that would like to get them. You can call the health department directly and make an appointment with the public health nurse, which is Suzanne Doty.
Thank you. Councilor O'Keefe.
Mr. President, I'd just like to echo what my fellow colleagues are talking about snow removal. And I want to salute the mayor and his staff and all of the public service. When people call me, they say, we don't have a public works department, it's public services. So they can't get a hold of DPW, well, it's DPS actually. But I want to also tell people at home, you can sign up for Code Red. If you're looking at the cameras, which one's, that one's not working, guys. You can sign up for Code Red, which will give you all this information. And if you don't have a computer, it'll go through the phone. So call the mayor's office and you can sign up for these particular Code Red initiatives that we get. And if you have a computer, you just go online. And I've tried to I live at a dead-end street, as you know, and I couldn't even get in my driveway the other day with so much snow in my street, they had pushed up. but they're doing a heck of a great job, and I salute John Tomas and everybody else that works for the city, putting up, and the fire and police department, for putting up, going down these narrow streets with, just imagine having a fire and you have to drag the hose, this big yellow 5-inch hose. Awesome, awesome fire department and police department and public works services in Salem. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor O'Keefe. And actually, would like to invite some of the councilors to take a 10-minute walk with me after the meeting. I have a little route that will encompass about 10 of the various situations, good and bad, that everybody faces. And if you have the time after the meeting, there's a spot we can meet and take a walk around the block and kind of get in touch with the people's situations a little bit. So, thank you. All right. Hearing, being none. Appointments and reappointments.
Held from the last meeting, the mayor's appointment of Anthony Scatino to serve as a member of the Council on Aging with a term to expire on May 1st, 2015.
Senior Councilor O'Keefe.
Council, Mr. President, members of the council, I respectfully recommend that Tony Anthony Scatino of Surrey Road be appointed to the Council on Aging by roll call vote.
Under discussion. Being none? Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to take a moment to thank Pat Donahue for her years of service on the Council on Aging. She's been a great asset.
So be it. Okay. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Turiel?
Yes.
Councilor Siegel?
Yes.
Councilor O'Keefe?
Yes.
Councilor Milo?
Yes.
Councilor McCarthy?
Yes.
Councilor Legault?
Yes.
Councilor Gerard?
Yes.
Councilor Fury?
Yes.
Councilor Famico?
Yes.
Councilor Epley?
Yes.
Councilor Sargent?
Yes. On the matter before us, 11 votes, 11 councilors voting, 11 yeas, 0 nays. The appointment carries. Councilor O'Keefe.
Mr. President, members of the council, I move for suspension of the rules to allow Tony Scatino to address the city council.
The objection being none? Mr. Chino?
Hi, thank you. Tony Scatino, 9 Surrey Road. I've been in Salem for about 30 years and been participating in local events, the Explorers, Salem State Explorers. My wife is participating in Women's Friend, and I've been helping out there. And I'm active as a volunteer at the Peabody Council on Aging. And recently, I've decided that maybe Salem needs my help more than Peabody does. But so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome. Welcome.
Further appointments and reappointments.
We have the mayor's appointment of Mark Anderson to serve as a member of the Board of Health with a term to expire March 1st, 2018.
Councilor Famico.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move this be held under the rules.
On the motion, all those in favor, all those opposed? Held under the rules. Further appointments and reappointments.
We have the mayor's reappointment of Maureen Call to serve as a member of the Salem Housing Authority with a term to expire March 1st, 2020.
Councilor O'Keefe.
Mr. President, I move the city council move by roll call, or a simple yea and nay vote on the reappointment of Maureen Call. I might ask that she also is a member of the Salem State University Neighborhood Advisory Committee, representing the tenants at Rainbow Terrace. So it's an excellent reappointment.
Any further discussion? Being none, Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Turiel?
Yes.
Councilor Siegel?
Yes.
Councilor O'Keefe?
Yes.
Councilor Milo?
Yes.
Councilor McCarthy?
Yes.
Councilor Legault?
Yes.
Councilor Gerard?
Yes.
Councilor Fury?
Yes.
Councilor Famico?
Yes.
Councilor Epley?
Yes.
Councilor Sargent?
Yes. Thank you. On the matter before us, 11 councilors voting, 11 yeas, 0 nays. The matter carries. Further appointments and reappointments.
We have the mayor's appointment of Richard Heath to serve as a constable with a term to expire on January 26, 2016.
Councilor Siegel.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move received and filed.
those in favor? Opposed? Received and placed on file. Communications from the mayor.
We have an appropriation totaling $1,507,356 from the fund balance free cash account to the following accounts: Stabilization Fund, Capital Improvement Fund, and the Employees Benefits.
Councilor Turiel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for suspension of the rules.
The council move for suspension of the rules. Any objection? Being none. Councilor Turiel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also move for adoption.
Discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have a series of matters here having to do with the disposition of our free cash, which we got our certification recently from the state on our free cash at roughly $3.35 million. This comes from money that we haven't spent from budget appropriations or higher revenues than we expected and the like. We have a policy in place generally for disposing of that, or taking the free cash that we are going to allocate back in, and we're going to use it to, in particular amounts, approximately 20% of the appropriations going to the stabilization fund, 20% going to capital improvement, 5% each to post-employ and to funding our pension liabilities. And we're ahead of schedule in funding our previously unfunded pension liabilities, which is a good thing. We also have an appropriation coming up for to put free cash back into our stabilization fund. This is the replacement of the money that we took out back in November as an offset to tax rates for this current year. So, this is replenishing that money. And we have several other appropriations in that vein before we get into the public services. So what I do here is if the council is so willing, we have the City Finance Director, Sarah Stanton, here, if there are any specific questions that any members would like to ask about these choices. Otherwise, we'll pretty much just move through them, and we'll just dispose of these by votes. I've gone through them all. They're fairly routine. We're fortunate that we have sound enough sufficiently sound fiscal policy that we're able to have free cash that we can allocate to build up our city's reserves each year. We've had years in the recent past, where there was no rainy day fund in place, and now we're fairly well equipped to cushion downturns in revenue and downturns in state aid and all the like. So with that, if anybody has any particular questions, we can refer them to our finance director. Otherwise, I would start by this one and move for approval.
Thank you, Councilor Turiel. Any further discussion? Councilor Epley?
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you to the finance director, I think for the viewers at home, it might be helpful, especially given the amount of money that we're talking about, if we could just outline for the viewers at home what the stabilization fund is, the capital improvement fund, in like one sentence or less.
Sure, okay.
Good luck.
This is before we start into the paying for water break funds, which is coming after this. Stabilization fund is sort of, I hate to use the phrase rainy day fund, but it's the money that we put in place, sort of a safety mechanism. In the past, it's been used for things like offsetting the cost of major contract settlements or unexpected costs that we don't budget for throughout the year. Is that short? Good? Short? Okay. Stabilization, the $600,000 is we use $600,000 to offset the total cost of the tax rate in November. This helped lower the tax rate. It can never be low enough, but this did help incrementally remove it a little bit. The Capital Improvement Program Fund, this is for short-term capital improvement items over $25,000, typically, that come throughout the course of the year that weren't budgeted for. John Tomaz has a loader that breaks, there's a Vector truck that's not working, a field that needs rehabilitation. That money will come from this fund. We usually keep a pretty steady balance. In your budgets, it's identified as Fund 2000. The OPEB Trust Fund is the other post-employment benefits. It's our state obligation, and we continually chip away at what is a $143 million liability. So this amount, even though it's great, and I'm glad that we're doing it, I wish it was significantly higher. And finally, this year we're doing something a little bit different. We're going to allocate a little bit more money to our retirement assessment. You'll see this each year during the budget process, where we get assessed for what our liabilities are. This is sort of help further chip away at that 2031 timeline. And that leaves us, just so everyone knows, with the additional free cash appropriations tonight for rodent control and some other items, with about $1.8 million in free cash. Sorry, Larry.
Any further questions of Ms. Stanton?
No, Mr. President.
Thank you. Councilor McCarthy.
I just make one statement. Years ago, when we adopted this philosophy of the certain percentages going to each different fund. It was with regard to the fact that when we started, some of us back 6, 8 years ago, some of these numbers that you're looking at were basically zeroed out. And when you look at what we're facing right now with snow removal, snow is one of the only budgets that, line items that you're allowed to carry over through the budget process to the next fiscal year. And it's very important to realize that when you look at all that equipment that's out there and all the man time and overtime that is eating through that budget probably twofold, threefold now. And what that number's finally going to be, we have no idea, but it's nice to know that there we have, through our sound fiscal practices, have enough money to be able to deal with that in the next fiscal year, because if we didn't, then we'd be looking to do drastic things. So I just want to thank the finance director and her team and everybody that's adopted these practices over the years and has maintained them over the years to allow this to happen.
Thank you, Councilor McCarthy. Any further discussion? Being none. On the motion by Councilor Terrio for adoption, all those in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it, the matter carries. Further communications from the mayor.
We have an appropriation of $600,000 from fund balance free cash account to the stabilization fund.
Councilor Terrio.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for suspension of the rules.
The move for suspension of the rules. Any objection? Being none, Councilor Terrio.
I further move for adoption.
Under discussion.
I think no further discussion necessary. We've covered this.
Thank you. No further discussion? Being none. On the motion by Councilor Terrio for adoption, all those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. The matter carries. Further communications from the mayor.
We have an appropriation of $167,484 from fund balance free cash account to the treasurer's pension assessment account.
Councilor Terrio.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for suspension of the rules.
Move for suspension of the rules. Any objection? Being none, Councilor Terrio.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also move for adoption.
Under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is the last of the disposition of our free cash for the time being orders, and this will help us with our, with our pension liability, catching up on our pension liabilities.
Thank you, Councilor Terrio. Any further discussion? Being none, on the motion by Councilor Terrio for adoption, all those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. The ayes have it. Further communications from the mayor.
We have an appropriation of $92,000 from retained earnings water fund to engineering water contracted services.
Councilor Terrio.
Thank you, Mr. President. I should probably just stay standing. I move for suspension of the rules.
Move for suspension of the rules. Any objection? Being none, Councilor Terrio.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also move for adoption.
Under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. This particular appropriation is to deal with this primarily is to deal with the costs of the water main break, the large water main break that we had in September that took out the 30-inch line that we have to come through Danvers into Salem to feed us from the reservoir. This event was also the one that has triggered quite a few of the other breaks that we've had since then with the pressure changes and the different feed systems. So this was for dealing with this repair.
Thank you, Councilor Terrio. Any further discussion? Being none. On the motion by Councilor Terrio for adoption, all those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. The matter carries. Further communications from the mayor.
We have an appropriation of $40,000 from retained earnings water fund to DPS water overtime.
Councilor Terrio.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for suspension of the rules.
Suspension of the rules. Any objection? Being none, Councilor Terrio.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also move for adoption.
Under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is to pay the workers who have been coming in and doing these extremely long shifts of repairing water main breaks all throughout the neighborhoods. As one of the statistics here in this, including the previous last weekend, well, in late January, we have had over 42 water main breaks since the beginning of this fiscal year. And hopefully there are some other measures in here to hopefully get ahead of some of that, but this is to pay the people who've been going out and doing all this work.
Thank you, Councilor Terrio. Any further discussion? Being none. On the motion by Councilor Terrio for adoption, all those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. The matter carries. Further communications from the mayor.
We have an appropriation of $10,000 from retained earnings water fund to DPS water infrastructure repair.
Councilor Turiel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for suspension of the rules.
Move for suspension of the rules. Any objection? Being none, Councilor Turiel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also move for adoption.
Under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is this appropriation covers the purchase of additional pipes and materials to replenish our stocks after having dealt with all the breaks that we have. We're right now short on repair materials, and this is to get more of it in-house.
Thank you, Councilor Turiel. Any further discussion? Being none, on the motion by Councilor Turiel for adoption, all those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. The matter carries. Further communications from the mayor.
We have a transfer of $30,028 from receipts reserve golf course to park and rec golf course equipment.
Councilor Turiel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for adoption.
Under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is to purchase some new equipment for the golf course. The new manager of the golf course has been on for a couple of years, has done a really good job of golf course restoration, bringing it back to what it was when it was first built. This equipment there's a greens aerator, there's some new mowing equipment, new irrigation equipment, and this is all to continue making this a more playable destination. The golf course does quite well, and I only wish I had the time to play there once in a while, but because it's really becoming a gem again very quickly.
Get a tea time tomorrow.
Better not play with a white ball.
Any further discussion? Being none, on the motion by Councilor Turiel for adoption, all those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. The matter carries. Further communications from the mayor.
We have an appropriation of $28,802 from retained earnings water sewer fund to treasurer's professional fees.
Dear Councilor Turiel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for suspension of the rules.
Move for suspension of the rules. Any objection? Being none, Councilor Turiel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also move for adoption.
Under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. These are for fees associated with bond issuance that we've done recently, basically the bond fees came in a little bit higher than were originally forecast.
Thank you, Councilor Turiel. Any further discussion? Being none, on the motion by Councilor Turiel for adoption, all those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. The matter carries. Further communications from the mayor.
We have an appropriation of $9,000 from fund balance free cash account to planning department contracted services.
Councilor Turiel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for suspension of the rules.
Move for suspension of the rules. Any objection? Being none, Councilor Turiel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also move for adoption.
Under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is the city's matching portion towards a grant we recently received to help us deal with some of our coastal zone management issues and some looking into mitigation work that we can do to help deal with rising sea levels. That's an ongoing issue in the city where with some of the sea walls that have been hit by the increased storms that we've had of late. And so trying to learn how to deal with some of these issues and figure out what we can do as a city to mitigate some of this, especially in low-lying areas, is what this matching fund and grant is intended to help us be able to figure out.
Thank you, Councilor Turiel. Any further discussion? Being none, on the motion by Councilor Turiel for adoption, all those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. The matter carries. Further communications from the mayor.
We have an appropriation of $2,000 from fund balance free cash account to the health department road control.
Councilor Turiel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for suspension of the rules.
Move for suspension of the rules. Any objection? Being none, Councilor Turiel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also move for adoption.
Under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Ramden has left, so we can go ahead. This is to help us kill more rats.
Wouldn't be playing.
He hates when we say that, but this is basically to get more traps. We've exhausted our supply.
Thank you, Councilor Turiel. Any further discussion on that matter? Being none. On the motion by Councilor Turiel for adoption, all those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Further communications from the mayor.
We have an appropriation of $1,500 from fund balance free cash account to the veterans in-state travel.
Councilor Turiel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for suspension of the rules.
Move for suspension of the rules. Any objection? Being none, Councilor Turiel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also move for adoption.
Under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. This appropriation is to help our veterans agent be able to, basically to pay for travel for some of the trainings that he's being mandated to take. He has to do some out-of-state travel for some of the conferences that he's being sent to as part of keeping his certifications up, where somebody in his department has to do this. So he's got to travel more for his job now, and he's doing a great job, so we want to keep him on the road.
Thank you, Councilor Turiel. Any further discussion? Being none, on the motion by Councilor Turiel for adoption, all those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it, the matter carries. Further communications from the mayor.
We have a donation of $4,535 from Fest Events of New England Salem Seafood Festival to be deposited into the Recreation Donation Fund for restoration of the gazebo at Salem Willows.
Councilor Turiel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for adoption.
Under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a very nice donation from the Fest Events is the group that came in and ran their seafood festival down at the Willows during the summertime. They had a bunch of, they brought in a bunch of vendors and closed off part of the area there and paid the city a rental fee for using it, all the like. And they wanted to make a donation to help restore the gazebo, the main gazebo there in the Willows, in order to make it a nicer place that they could put, that they and other people could potentially use. And so this is necessary to help this. We have to approve this in order to accept the money to direct it for that. Thank you to them for giving this above and beyond what they've already, what they already paid the city for rental fees.
Thank you again. Any further discussion? Councilor Legault.
Thank you, Mr. President. To you, to the Chairman of Administration and Finance. I just want to be clear on that. They were not required, this was not was not part of an agreement for them to donate this money to the gazebo, or did they do this on their own?
Their choice.
It was their choice. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Legault. Any further discussion? Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. Not totally their choice. As being the liaison to Park and Rec, and the fact that this was in the Willows, I was at the meetings that were regarding this. The Seafood Festival is part of their approval to utilize and block off part of the Willows for this event, guaranteed a payment to the Park and Rec Commission, which is in the form of donation. That's how they're doing it. They guaranteed a minimum payment of, I believe for the first year was $2,000. And that based on the fact that it was their first year and they didn't know how many people were going to come through the gate. This number actually reflects, I don't want to misquote the percentage, it's so much per ticket sold, and whatever that number is, that's what this came out to. The part of the stipulation was that when the Park and Rec Commission allowed this event to occur, was that the money specifically go back to areas in the Willows, and I think that through working with Karen Partner and the commission, they've identified an area of need, and so that's why they're, instead of just putting it into the Park and Rec Fund for the Willows, they're just going, the gazebo's down there needed some repair, so they decided on one of them to do. On a further note on this one, they've applied for their second annual this year, and we heard all the growing pains from the first one. They've adopted some of the recommendations that I put forth with regards to second means of egress. They fenced off an area. They had one section in. We're going to try to have them open it up. We're going to have them try to turn around when they have the fence, try to make it a little nicer. And instead of looking at the back side of the vendors, we want to look at the front side of the vendors, so maybe the people walk along the fence and the vendors are behind them. So if you're not in the event, you can have, when you're looking in, you're not looking at some guy turned around and cooking something or doing whatever they're doing. We also moved I could go on, we're shrinking some areas, we're moving some of the cooling vehicles. They had some big tractor trailer trucks with like a refrigerator trucks, to, different supplies and whatnot. We're moving them away from some of the vendors. Try to hopefully enhance the event, try to get more local people involved. Some of the feedback was there was a few local people involved in the seafood festival. There was some seafood, but on top of that, it was a lot of other stuff that you see at different types of events that wasn't seafood. They're really pushing hard to try to make it more of a seafood festival. So hopefully we'll see how it works. But with regard to that specific question, that's where the money came from, or the donation.
Thank you, Councilor McCarthy. Councilor Turiel.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, my paperwork on it reflected as a straight donation, so I'm glad that I'm glad the Parks and Rec was able to work that out to get additional funds out of them. My understanding had originally been that they had just given a straight user fee, so that's good. I mean, this means that this was a bigger event, a success from a standpoint of traffic, foot traffic than they originally anticipated. So it's good that we were able to get this, and hopefully, I did hear some positive things from some of the people who had attended that event, so hopefully it'll be something better this year.
Thank you, Council. Any further discussion? Council Legault.
One more time to you, Mr. President. I want to thank the Council for Ward 1 for that clarification. I went to a couple of days of that event, and I'm glad to see that we are encouraging them to change the way you get in and out, change the configuration a little bit. If my understanding is correct, they averaged 1,500 people a day during that event. They did very, very well, and I hope that we are encouraging them to continue to make these voluntary donations. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Legault. Any further discussion? Being none. On the motion by Councilor Turiel for adoption, all those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. The matter carries. Further communications from the mayor.
We have an order for the following relative to Algonquin Gas Transmission LLC. An agreement with Algonquin Gas Transmission LLC for construction of gas pipeline, a grant license to work on city land, a grant permanent easement on city-owned land, and an execute agreement authorizing order of taking with respect to easements of city-owned parcels.
Councilor Segal.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move to refer this to the Committee on Ordinance, License, and Legal, and open it up to the Committee of the Whole.
Thank you, Councilor Segal. Any further discussion on that?
Yes.
No. On the motion to move this to Committee on Ordinance, License, and Legal Affairs, all those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. The matter carries. Move to committee. Mayor's informational page. Being none. Motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Segal.
City of Salem and the City Council, thank you, Mr. President, excuse me. City of Salem and the City Council ordered February 12, 2015, that the attached 3 tag day applications be granted. Salem High School Percussion Ensemble to 14-15, Salem Junior and Senior Winter Color Guards, February 21st of 15, Salem High School Girls Basketball, February 15th and February 28th.
Thank you, Councilor Segal. Any further discussion?
No.
No. On the matter to grant these licenses, all those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. The matter carries. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Myla.
Thank you, Mr. President. The City of Salem and City Council, February 12, 2015, ordered that the City Council, together with the efforts of the Building and Planning and Community Development Departments, explore the process of having the portrait of George Washington moved back in his place of honor in the City Council chambers behind the Council President, that the matter be referred to the Committee on Government Services, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole for their review and recommendation.
Thank you, Councilor Myla. On to discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. As you all probably remember, I brought this order in last year, and as one of the folks who testified earlier in the meeting mentioned, that it's been brought in a number of years previous. This is something that I feel strongly about. I think that the portrait out in the hallway is, the beauty and the majesty of it is kind of lost. And from looking at photos of the chamber when the portrait was behind the president, I think it reflects the statesmanship and the seriousness, I guess, of what we do here in the council. And I also think that it would be a nice opportunity to put George back with his friend over there, the Marquis de Lafayette, and I think it would finish things off. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Milo. Any further discussion? Councilor Legault.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you, I know that this was a pet cause of Senator Lovely, one of our predecessors here in the council. I would move that we add an amendment to this order, and that if we're going to actually consider moving the portrait back into the chambers where it belongs, it would be really nice to see General Washington, President Washington, over your shoulder, Mr. President. I think we should look into also getting the portrait cleaned properly before we do that. I know that's an additional cost, but if we're going to move it in here for effect, we should get it cleaned properly, because all of these paintings in the chambers are all faded from the sun and the different sources of light that we've had in the chambers over these years, and they would all look spectacular with a proper cleaning, but especially that portrait of General President Washington. So I'd like to see us get it cleaned also.
Thank you, Councilor Legault. Will Councilor Milo accept that as a friendly amendment?
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. President.
We'll take that amendment. Do we have to vote on the amendment, Madam City Clerk, or just let it go? Just let it be part of the order? Thank you. Councilor McCarthy.
I would just offer up, thank you, Mr. President. I would just offer up that our friend and former colleague and now State Senator Lovely did bring this in a lot, and I will say someplace in one of the years, I know that she reached out to the PVD Essex, and I know that they gave a price on cleaning it. And so someplace out there, I don't know where it is, you might want to reach out to Senator Lovely. She might remember. I don't remember what year it was, but I know that they gave us some sort of estimated cost, what it would take to clean that. So that would just kind of get that ball rolling.
Councilor Milo.
Mr. President, thanks very much. I know that last year, when this order was brought in, I believe it got as far as, with inspectional services, it got as far as actually, I don't know if the PEM came over, but I know that it at least was viewed, and somebody was talking about getting an estimate. So I guess baby steps on this one, I don't know, but I'm hoping that once it gets to the committee, we can move on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Milo. The term payment in lieu of taxes comes to mind. I don't know why. On the motion to move this to committee, all those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. The matter carries. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Turiel.
Thank you, Mr. President. City of Salem, year 2015, ordinance to amend ordinance relative to traffic. Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Salem as follows. Section 1, Chapter 42, Section 13, Service Zone is hereby amended by repealing the following. Repeal Broadway, westerly side beginning at a point 20 feet from Loring Avenue for a distance of 50 feet, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., no parking service zone. Section 2, this ordinance shall take effect as provided by City Charter.
Under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. This and the following ordinance is to change a service zone that had been in effect on Broadway right near the intersection of Loring across from the fire station. This had been in place to service a business that there was a tile business there for several years that had a loading and unloading zone, and the current business uses over there no longer require that. So it's going to be this and the following ordinance will change it to regular 30-minute parking during the business day.
Thank you, Councilor Turiel. Any further discussion? Being none. On the motion by Councilor Turiel for first passage, all those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. Matter carries. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Turiel.
Thank you, Mr. President. City of Salem, year 2015, ordinance to amend an ordinance relative to traffic. Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Salem as follows. Section 1, Chapter 42, Section 57A, parking time limited unmetered zone is hereby amended by adding the following. Broadway westerly side beginning at a point of 20 feet from Loring Avenue in a northerly direction for a distance of 50 feet, 30-minute parking, 7 o'clock a.m. to 5 o'clock p.m., Monday through Saturday. Section 2, this ordinance shall take effect as provided by City Charter.
Under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. No, this is nothing really discussed. This is just the second half of the change.
Any further discussion? Being none. On the motion by Councilor Turiel for first passage, all those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. The matter carries. Are there any late files for motions, orders, or resolutions? Councilor O'Keefe.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the City Council, it's a request of the City Council President to have, I request City Council President establish a meeting of the Council Committee of the Whole to review the traffic peer review by Spay, Fawford, and Thorndike after Salem State University consultant Tetra Tech has answered the questions posed by Fay, Spofford, and Thorndike, our peer review traffic study. I had the city clerk give you in your copy in your box tonight a report from Fay, Spofford, and Thorndike, FSC. And there's several questions in there that our consultant, the peer review consultant, the city's consultant, which the university helped pay for, ironically, that need to be addressed by the university. So I believe that once the university gets back to, Tetra Tech gets back to us, to the city council, to the mayor, that the city council have a meeting to review all of this matter, all these matters that have been brought up by our consultant, Faceoff and Thorndike. And we, as I read the report, there's a question whether they actually need this.
Mr. President, I'm sorry to interrupt, but this is out of order. It's a late file.
Give you just a little bit of finishing up, and where there's no discussion on the late file.
Out of order.
Well, you can introduce the late file. We can't get into deep discussion on it being a late file. And,
Well,
which
the
I
matter just
understand.
came to the city, to me tonight from technically the city.
Right.
So what do I have to do, wait 2 weeks?
No, we has to go to
I'm
committee.
not going to badger you, sir. No, I'll wait.
Okay, just finish up briefly and.
Oh, I have 2 pages, I'll stop reading.
Oh,
I just think once we get the report back from Tetra Tech, that we should meet with Faceoff and Thorndike and the mayor and everyone, the city council, to see where we go from here. I would hope in the meantime, the university didn't start the garage. They would just wait. I know they have trailers on site, but I wish they would just wait till we have this meeting, because really, unless they figure out how to get in there, why have a garage if they can't turn in from Loring Avenue?
Thank you, Council O'Keefe. Being a late file, the council who introduced it can speak briefly on it. Then the matter is referred to committee. On the motion by Council O'Keefe to refer this matter to committee of the whole, all those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it, the matter carries. Council Siegel.
Thank you, Mr. President. City of Salem and City Council, February 12, 2015, ordered that the Committee on Ordinance, License, and Legal Affairs meet to discuss a plan to help the elderly and disabled with snow removal. Invited building inspector or his designee, solicitor, mayor or her designee, council on aging director, or representative of the Boys and Girls Club, and the DPW director or his designee. Basically, with all the snow that we've received, I've gotten calls with some handicapped residents and some elderly who've had a hard time shoveling, getting tickets. Call the council on aging. They refer you to a website which say they charge $18 to $24 an hour. When the person came out, they wanted $35 an hour. I reached out to the Boys and Girls Club, and they're pretty much full. They do charge that you have to negotiate a little bit. But I think as a city, we owe it to the elderly and the handicapped to put something in place so, they're protected in a situation like this. One, if they don't have a neighbor or a relative that can help, the city should reach out and have something in place. So I'd just like to bring this to the forefront.
Thank you, Council Siegel. Now, what committee again to refer?
I did refer it to Council on Ordinance, License, and Legal Affairs, but I probably should open that up to the whole, co-post it with the whole.
On the motion by Council Siegel to move this to committee, we can't do a discussion on it, late file.
And then I have one more, if I may.
Let's move this one to committee first.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
On the motion to move the matter to committee on Ordinance, License, and Legal Affairs, co-post with committee of the whole. All those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it, the matter carries. Council Siegel.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President. One more quick one here. City of Salem and the City Council dated February 12, 2015, ordered that the Committee on Ordinance, License, and Legal Affairs meet to discuss and make corrections to Ordinance Section 38-13, removal of snow from sidewalks. Invited the city solicitor, the building inspector or his designee, the mayor or her designee. Basically going through the actual ordinance and comparing it to the state ordinance, there are a few mistakes in there, and it's something that we need to address.
And that'll be co-posted with committee of the whole?
Sure.
On the motion by Council Siegel to move this to the committee on Ordinance, License, and Legal Affairs, co-posted with committee of the whole. All those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it, the matter carries. Any further late files for motions, orders, and resolutions? Being none. Committee reports. Councilor Siegel.
City of Salem, thank you, Mr. President. In the City Council, February 12th, the Committee on Ordinance, License, and Legal Affairs, to whom was referred the matter of granting certain licenses, has considered said matters and would recommend approval. It's for the tag days for Salem Little League on May 9th, June 6th, and June 20th.
On acceptance of the report, all those in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. On adoption of the recommendation, under discussion.
No, Mr. President.
Any further discussion? Okay. On Councilor Seagull's recommendation for adoption, all those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it, the matter carries. Councilor Turiel, further motions, orders, and resolutions. Committee reports. I'm
Thank you,
sorry.
Mr. President. Salem City Council, the February 12, 2015, the Committee on Administration and Finance co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, to whom was referred the matter of requesting funds to retain a law firm for legal action to stop Salem State University from building a garage, has considered said matter and would recommend that it not be approved.
Under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is mainly procedural, based on the work that our city solicitor has been doing for the last several weeks in conjunction with the law firm that has been that was retained by the Save Our Salem group. They looked through all the work that had been done and all the communication that had been done, and they could not find any legal basis upon which the city would be, the city has any legal leverage to use or any ability to join in the case as alongside them. So based on that, the committee recommends that it not be approved. The other side of it too is without any legal basis to do that, for the city to be an actual party to it, which again, this is what they've determined at this point, that they are not a party. So with that, if the city were to get into this lawsuit, it would be basically in the position that would be setting a very, what most of us think is a fairly dangerous precedent to actually be then bankrolling a party's lawsuit against an institution. That said, as Councilor O'Keefe had referred to in his previous order, there is information on the traffic study that came through. Whether that had not been considered by Save Our Salem's attorney from the firm of Anderson and Krieger at that point, but we don't think it's that likely. We don't think it's necessarily likely that would turn the city into a party. However, should that be the case, should we proceed to accept this and then return it, if it turns out that there are grounds later on that the city could join in a lawsuit and could be a party to the lawsuit, then I don't see any issue in this coming back in. So depending on how we want to proceed on this, the procedure here would likely be to accept the committee report and then either choose to send it back to committee, choose to table it, or simply allow it to go through, and then should this become a situation that changes, I would think that the council would accept bringing this matter in if there was new information that justified us getting involved. I think the council would waive their rule against not hearing the matter in that year in order to support this.
Thank you, Councilor Turiel. Let me first vote for acceptance of the report. All those in favor? All those opposed?
Abstain.
The report's accepted. Let the record reflect that Councilor Milo is abstaining. Okay, now the report has been accepted. Any further discussion?
Yeah.
Councilor McCarthy. I believe Councilor McCarthy was first. Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was at a previous meeting with regards to the whole National Grid cable replacement project across the street before I came over here earlier this evening, and I sat in the ante room. I was actually on TV. I didn't want to come in the middle of the meeting, and I heard a lot of what was going on about this earlier this evening. And my only recommendation is I understand what everything that the Chair of Finance is saying, and I agree with everything he's saying. But the only there's two issues I have. Is one is, if it's found out later, those words were used, which I agree it could be. Right now, currently, it's deemed that we're not a party, or couldn't be a party. And the second part is, if it is, then we can come back and waive the rules. I don't like waiving the rules. The rules, sometimes you have to, but if it's in front of us right now, I don't see the harm, and my recommendation would be just leave it in committee or table it or whatever you want to do. Then if it's, nothing happens and it's deemed that we can't be part of a lawsuit or there's no standing for the city in it, then it just dies in committee at the end of the year. If for some reason something comes out of this traffic study that we just got over the course of the next couple of weeks, and then maybe our part, I don't know the legal ramifications. That's something that legal would have to take up first before they come back to us. At least then because time is of the essence from what I hear. I mean, the job trailers are on site, they're getting ready to dig holes, so we might as well leave it in committee, and then if something does happen, then we can deal with it without having to waive the rules and wait 2 weeks to take it up again. So that would be my recommendation, to leave it in committee.
Thank you, Councilor McCarthy. Councilor O'Keefe.
Members of the City Council, thank you. I think we should take Councilor Trujillo's second option to send it back to committee. I think that's the easiest thing. If something comes out of this FS&T and Tetra Tech, then we can, but let's bring it back and keep it to his committee, which he's diligently working on the matter, and let's be done with it tonight. And new information will go forward then. But leave it, send it back.
Thank you, Councilor O'Keefe. Councilor Legault.
Thank you, Mr. President. To you, all due respect to the deliberations of the Committee of Administration and Finance, I definitely support leaving this in committee. I think that's where it belongs in view of us just receiving this peer review of the traffic study.
Thank you, Councilor Legault. Back to Councilor Torrio.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, I have no objection to whatever the will of the body is on this matter. As of this point, there are no grounds as identified by their attorney and by our city solicitor for the city to be involved as a party to this suit. And if they decide that this traffic study has given us ammunition by which we can join the fray, then we have the opportunity to decide to do so, should that be the case.
Thank you, Councilor Torrio. The chair will recommend...
Final point.
Councilor O'Keefe.
Thank you, Mr. President. But I would hope that Salem State University would address every item that's been brought up in this issue, that they don't say to us, well, we haven't figured that out yet as to how much the garage is going to cost. I keep going to meetings and they say, well, that hasn't been determined, how much this new garage is going to cost. The students are going to pay naturally, but I want every question that FS&T's asked addressed by the university to this council and to this city and to the mayor. We haven't decided that yet.
Thank you, Councilor O'Keefe. The chair will accept the recommendation to withdraw the recommendation to adopt the report and entertain a motion to keep this in committee. Councilor Fury.
If I may, Abraham Lincoln's birthday, February 12th. I think it's good to be honest. All of us should be honest. Situation. I believe this is going to be a placebo vote. Sincerely, a placebo vote. And to put it in the committee is inappropriate. I think we should not do that. All the buildings have been at Salem State College, we can all name them, O'Keefe, Meyer, Sullivan, the dorms, all have been built over a period of time. A garage is coming down the pike, we know it. Part of reality, inevitable. Most likely it's going to either be at O'Keefe Center in the next 20 years, another garage, and this garage here at the main campus. The Salem State College is now divesting itself of the South Campus, and eventually Horace Mann School will be there. So I think it is a placebo vote, putting it in committee. The garage is going to be built, I believe, just like the garage at the MBTA. We had very little discussion. In fact, we increased it. And the MBTA, in fact, gave us a line saying we're going to have so many cars. The mayor and this city council urged the MBTA saying we needed more, what we have now. And I don't remember at any of the meetings of that garage, and I went to many of those meetings at the Carleton School, that anybody next to a neighborhood, whether your Parker Brothers was, did what we're doing tonight. It was not done. That garage is done. And it was done very professionally, well done, went down Bridge Street, big pilings, and looked like Lego was being built in a quick period of time. And I think this garage will be built. And I think it's just a placebo vote, so I will be voting against it.
Thank you, Councilor Fury. Councilor Torrio.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just to address it a little bit. I mean, there are some differences here. I mean, the MBTA garage was built in a big open parking lot that's adjacent to pretty much nothing other than a rental apartment complex on the other side of the train tracks. and otherwise isn't really abutting on much of anything, whereas this is in the middle of a residential neighborhood that's actually zoned for residential use. Unfortunately, there was a state precedent set in 1989 that says that state agencies have the ability to ignore local zoning and do what they choose anyway. That was fought in a case that was by a college against a city, and in fact, the college was Salem State and the city was Salem, and we lost. And that's part of how we got to this point in the first place. I believe, and I'm not 100% on my history sometimes, but I believe that the dorm that is next to that parking lot now is the dorm that was built as a result of that. If I have my timetables correct. If not, it was one of the nearby ones. But that was previously built in the R1 zone because we lost this case once upon a time. So, you know, Salem State has the right to do these things. We have bits of leverage that we can hold over them, for like controlling the streets and the traffic patterns coming out of it and going into it. We can decide what happens and what kind of turns they can make and what the controls are. So we do have ways we can exert influence over them, but we can't control what they do within that property, unfortunately. But I'll say the difference, and a difference between the MBTA garage and this garage is we fought very hard as a city to try and convince the MBTA to allocate enough money to build an additional level on the garage to add more cars to it because it was in the central downtown where we desperately need the parking. And I think that if Salem State came by and said, well, they want to reduce the size of the garage after all to a smaller size, I think they'd meet with quite a bit of enthusiastic response, you know, unlike if adding capacity would have done. So, you know, ultimately, this may in fact turn out to be just a placebo as referred. This may turn out to be a pointless vote. As it stands right now, we don't have any basis as a city by which has been identified that we can legally join into this. If there was a basis that we could use as a city to go after them, I think I'd be very happy to move this along and to, you know, and to join in to stop it. Because I think what they're planning for that site is too large and not appropriate to the site. I'm not opposed to parking there entirely, but I think they're putting too much of it in place. And I think most of us, I've made that fairly clear, and I think most of us agree that either nothing or at the very least a lot less would be what's appropriate there. We can, you know, move and do whatever we want with this. I mean, my fondest wish would be that Salem State would recognize that there's not a lot of support for this outside of their own boardroom, and be willing to make adjustments and to compromise on this project, and unfortunately, they have not been.
Thank you, Council Torrio. Council Milo.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to recuse myself from this vote, please.
You may. Thank you. Council Milo is recused. Have we withdrawn the motion to adopt the recommendation and put in a motion to keep this in committee? Council Legault.
Thank you, Mr. President. One more time to you. I just want to thank the Councilor from Ward 5 for bringing the word leverage into play here. This may, in fact, end up being a placebo vote, but there's a small potential, respectfully, that it may not be. And it's important for us at this point, considering that the start date is the 1st of March, which is just a couple of weeks down the road, that we try to maintain whatever leverage we may have. And this is just a small bit of leverage, not much. We probably can't move much with it, but it has the potential, if we can get a little more oomph on it, a little more power behind it, that we can utilize this leverage to get them to perhaps build a smaller garage. So again, I understand it may be a throwaway vote, but I'm willing to throw that vote away on the chance that we may be able to develop some leverage with it.
Thank you, Council Legault. Council Segal.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd just like to say I agree with most of my fellow city councilors here, and I'd just like to add, I think as an elected body here, I think we owe it to the neighborhoods and the constituents to leave this open. These are people who the Salem State, clearly in my eyes, could care less what they're doing to these people's lives, their livelihood, their property values. They've come in with no response or no offers of value, something that somebody would see as making a fair offer or any realistic mitigation. So I think as a body, as a whole, every single one of us as an elected official owes it to the constituents first, not the college, the constituents. So I hope we keep this in committee.
Thank you, Councilor Segal. Councilor Turiel. We had
move the question.
We had a motion to adopt the recommendation of the committee.
That was withdrawn, so.
Okay. And the motion before us now is to leave this in committee? On that motion, all those in favor? All those opposed? One being opposed, the matter carries. Further committee reports. Councilor Turiel.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Councilor Milo's back with us.
City of Salem and City Council, February 12, 2015, the Committee on Administration and Finance co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, to whom was referred the matter of authorizing the mayor to execute a 7-year lease agreement with Century Bank for the replacement of streetlights, has considered said matter and would recommend approval.
On acceptance of the report, all those in favor? All those opposed? The report is accepted. Under discussion, Councilor Turiel.
Thank you, Mr. President. We met earlier this evening in the Administration and Finance Committee to go over some of the numbers associated with this. The estimate that we got from there, the math that we got, was we would save, and I don't have that, I'd already submitted that paperwork, so I don't have it precisely remembered. I think it was approximately $177,000 per year throughout the 7 years of the lease, and then during the anticipated approximate 10-year lifespan of the equipment before we start getting out of warranty, we will then save our lease payments on top of it for additional savings. So this program will take all the city-owned lights that are on poles at this point, both the city-owned poles and the National Grid owned poles, and replace them with LED fixtures after a test period where we take several different types and models and test them in various neighborhoods and areas to see which ones perform the best. And then this lease is just the financing arrangement to do it.
Thank you, Councilor Turiel. Any further discussion on this matter?
Sure. Did you want to speak to him?
Okay, so basically we have to, for the lease agreement, we have to move for adoption by roll call vote, so I so move.
Thank you, Councilor Turiel. Being no further discussion? Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. For the vote, I'm going to vote no. And it's not because I don't agree with the savings of the money or the potential savings of the money and all that. I just, personally for me, it's backwards a little bit. I understand the savings involved in LED lights, but some of the previous LED programs we've put in, it could be a sign of that I'm getting a little older, but when I drive at night on some of the streets, on New Derby Street, that's got those black, retro poles that look like cast iron with the lights on them, it doesn't throw enough light for me. And it's not because I don't agree with the program, but it's like they should be coming to us first and putting some up first and having us look at them before we authorize all this money. And it's kind of backwards for me. And I missed out on that committee meeting because once again, it happened before I came in here, but with everything that's been said, I don't disagree with the savings. I think it's a novel idea, but I know that National Grid over the last 5 or 6 years, they replaced a lot of those heads on a lot of those poles. They went from the one specific type to another type, and those things got a life expectancy of probably another 10 years or so on top of them themselves. So I agree with the whole concept of the idea. I'm not averse to trying to save money, and it's not about the money. For me, it's about the light. And until I can see the light, I'm to go into bond to borrow this kind of money. I'm just not with it.
Thank you, Councilor McCarthy.
Unless someone could explain it in the next 5 minutes to change my mind, then I could change my mind.
Just quickly, I would ask the councilors, when you go down New Derby Street, as Councilor McCarthy has said, notice those very nice historic lights. But as Councilor McCarthy pointed out, they aim towards the sky. They don't aim towards the ground. And it's very hard to see pedestrians, especially during that street, and we do need to do something about that. Thank you. Councilor Epley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I definitely hope that the Ward 1 councilor does see the light on this particular issue. He has a very serious and important questions. It actually was brought up by the at-large councilor, one of the at-large councilors on the Administration and Finance Committee on that exact issue: are there enough lumens? Is there enough light that's actually being provided? And with John Giardi, our city electrician, as well as Jeff Ely, who's our energy consultant, there's going to be actually testing done on particular streets to make sure that this actually works and and we have the highest available lumens that are there, and it should be and will be a safe product once we have this come out. We're not the first city to do this. There are several other cities that have done this as well, and I would hope and encourage the rest of my colleagues who weren't present for that particular committee meeting to vote yes on this, because this is a positive, very positive all across the board in terms of environmental issues, in terms of cost savings, and in terms of safety. That was the primary concern that one of the at-large councilors raised during that colloquy. So thank you, Mr. President.
Councilor Toriel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will say I'm a very strong advocate for LED lighting. As I had said in the committee meeting, I've replaced virtually every light fixture in my own home with LED lighting. The pace of generational change in LED light has been absolutely amazing, to the point where you can now get reasonably priced LED bulbs that are about the cost that compact fluorescents were just a couple of years ago, that provide you with 100 watt equivalent light, same amount of lumens, using about 1/10 of the energy, and far less energy than even the compact fluorescents, without the mercury that you have to worry about disposing of with the fluorescent bulbs. So they're far safer, they're better for the environment, they perform better, and the light they give off can be now very fine-tuned by color to replicate daylight or replicate other tones. It's not the harsh blue that the first generation of LED lights did. What we're looking at in particular in this program is replacing pretty much the Cobra headlights that are currently on a lot of our wooden poles and all of our metal poles throughout the city-owned ones and the National Grid-owned ones. That's what we're looking at doing with this program. So there'll be a couple of thousand lights that get replaced as part of this. It will be, you'll wind up saving a good amount of energy. But again, there are several different manufacturers. There are many different models. And what they intend to do as part of this is test in some of the neighborhoods and the downtown area, on places like New Derby Street, some of the various options to see what gives us the best performance before they commit to a particular model and design as the standard. And again, this is moving very rapidly and and the technology behind these is improving quickly. So as we go on, right now, these, in just about all cases, they equal or better the performance of incandescent bulbs or sodium bulbs like we've used in these fixtures in the past. So this should be a very good improvement for the city overall. And also, what we notice now, if you know a lot of the reports, if you look on See-Click-Fix and see what a lot of the reports are, we have pretty regular reports of street lights that go out, because the old style lights that we use, when they fail, they don't generally just fail all at once. They fail gradually, they dim. And they dim over time as they're used, and then they'll start cycling on and off as they run into issues there. I have one across from my house that's doing it on Lafayette Street right now, so I haven't had a chance to report it yet. And by the way, when you do report those, if you do report those online, try and get the pole number that's on the pole. That way the city knows which one to come out and fix, and they are pretty good about it once you report it with the pole number. But these should have a much longer duty cycle and perform better in pretty much all weather conditions, and really improve things overall.
Thank you, Councilor Toriel. Councilor McCarthy.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President. One follow-up question, as my mind is trying to be swayed because we didn't have this discussion prior to just accepting the report and taking a vote. I guess my question would be, if we venture into this agreement and we put up lights and we go to test them in certain neighborhoods or wherever they are, and we don't like them, because people feedback, they don't throw enough light, they don't seem to produce the lumens that are required, the light isn't correct, are we then obligated to expend all the money, or can we back out? Is my question, because that's a, I mean, for me, that's why I said it's putting the cart before the horse. I would have liked to test before we buy, because it's a large expenditure over a 7-year period, so that's my only, I mean, that's my only concern on this one. I'm not opposed to the environmental aspects of it, the cost savings, the potential for savings. For me, it's just, if we don't like them and they don't work, then I still obligated to buy into a program that we don't want.
Thank you, Councilor McCarthy. Councilor Torriello.
Thank you, Mr. President. What I'll say to that is, we will not be executing the lease itself until after the completion of the test program. That was my understanding from the city electrician and the energy manager. So the process of, before we do this, we will start the process by testing the various lamps to find the best ones. And the best one for one neighborhood might not be the best one for another neighborhood. There may be different models used and purchased, so there will be some variation in this as it's deployed. You know, and so this is, what this is the authorization to execute the lease. It is not the lease, the completed lease itself. So this is the authorization for the mayor to enter into the capital lease for these lights over the 7-year term. But before everything is signed and sealed, they are going to be conducting all the tests to do this.
Thank you, Councilor Torriello. Councilor Legault.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you, I just want to clarify a couple of things for the Ward 1 councilor, since he was not here earlier. They will be testing, as the Ward 5 councilor just said, multiple lights, multiple bulbs, and we can use more than one from one location to another. And also another concern about the historic lighting, there also was some talk that they're looking at ways to modify those period light posts so that instead of shooting straight up into the air, they would actually have an arm that would come out over the street. So those questions were asked, those questions were answered. I would encourage the councilor from Ward 1 to reconsider his no. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you for clearing that up, Councilor Legault. Any further discussion? Being none. Being a lease, we'll do a roll call vote. Madam City Clerk, on this matter, please call the roll.
Council Torriello?
Yes.
Council Siegel?
Yes.
Council O'Keefe?
Yes.
Council Milo?
Yes.
Council McCarthy?
Haven't seen the light, yes.
Amen.
Council Legault?
Yes.
Council Gerard?
Yes.
Council Fury?
Yes.
Council Famiko?
Yes.
Council Epling?
Yes.
Council Sargent?
Yes. On the matter of executing a 7-year lease for LED lights with Century Bank, 11 councilors being present, 11 voting in the yea, 0 in the nay. The matter carries. Communications from city officials.
We have a communication from the city clerk to adopt the following order: that the date of the City of Salem's preliminary election be set for Tuesday, September 29, 2015, in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 54, Section 103P, in order that the election does not conflict with the Jewish holidays.
Senior Councilor O'Keefe.
Through you, Mr. President, members of the City Council, I move for the adoption of the recommendation of the city clerk to change the date until the last Tuesday in October, the 29th.
September.
I'm sorry, September, 29th of September.
Any further discussion? Councilor Famiko.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd just like to thank our city clerk for working around the Jewish holidays for this. As we've noticed through past different planning of events in the city, sometimes things get scheduled on Jewish holidays. Not only does it affect our city staff, but also citizens in this community. Beforehand, I had reached out to our mayor and our chief of staff at one point to ask if we could put holidays such as the Jewish holidays on a calendar, so when we're planning, we could reference and easily pull that up. Unfortunately, city calendars also, everyone has different calendars, and unfortunately, I did never hear back from either of them on that request. But I'm glad to see that our body and our city clerk is working to work with people's faith and religions and to work according to it. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Famiko. On Councilor O'Keefe's motion to move for adoption by roll call vote, Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Council Torriello?
Yes.
Counsel Segal?
Yes.
Counsel O'Keefe?
Yes.
Counsel Milo?
Yes.
Counsel McCarthy?
Yes.
Counsel Legault?
Yes.
Counsel Gerard?
Yes.
Counsel Fury?
Yes.
Counsel Finico?
Yes.
Counsel Epley?
Yes.
Counsel Sargent?
Yes. Thank you. On the matter of moving the date of the preliminary election to Tuesday, September 29, 2015, 11 councilors present, 11 voting in the affirmative, none in the negative. The matter carries. Petitions.
We have a request from Comcast to install conduits on Hawthorne Boulevard.
Hearing ordered February 26, 2015. Further petitions.
We have a request from Kenneth Sawicki to meet the council to discuss public testimony and homelessness in Salem.
Council Legault.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you.
Eye contact.
Mr. Sawicki came before us last year in order to have this discussion with the council, and he came before us again this year. Got a little contentious last year, and as he recounted for us, I think we should just give Mr. Sawicki his opportunity, or at least discuss giving Mr. Sawicki his opportunity. I'm not quite sure what the right thing to do here. I would move that we move this to Government Services.
Very good idea.
Thank you, Mr.
Further
President.
discussion, Council Legault?
Under discussion.
Councilor Epley.
I actually think that it would be, nothing against my colleague from Ward 1, but with public health, public safety, and environment, that it actually should go in public safety, health, and environment.
That, I would amend it to that effect, Mr. President. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Council Legault. Councilor McCarthy.
I would wholeheartedly allow and encourage the Ward 4 Council to take this on in public health, safety, and environment. But on a personal note on this one, I do sit on the task force from the Beverly Salem Homeless Initiative, and that sits down with the mayors, and both Mayor Cahill and Mayor Driscoll were at the last one. The first one was in Beverly. The second one was actually here in Salem. Actually, I think Peabody is now going to jump in on it as well as we talk about this very important issue. So I think the next meeting might be in Peabody. I'm not really sure yet. I haven't looked at my calendar on that one. But just briefly with regard to some of the things that Mr. Zwicky said, I'm not going to go through all the rules and what goes on down at Lifebridge, but when the temperature hits a certain degree, they let everybody in. When people don't want to follow the rules that Lifebridge has put in place with regards to beds, and there's a whole litany of them, I don't need to go through them. Some of them are whether or not you have been drinking, some of them, and some people just don't want to follow the rules, and because they don't want to follow the rules and they don't want to conform to get into a bed, sometimes they are, I don't want to use the word deny because that's not right. It's, sometimes they just opt not to because they don't want to conform to the rules. There are certain rules in place because everybody who goes into the shelter wants to have some, and I don't want to speak for them, they want to have some sense of safety when they're in the shelter. And some of the most interesting things that have come out during the couple meetings that I've sat on this committee as we try to tackle some of these issues, and Senator Lovely's office has been there with regards to children and whatnot. The largest increase of what they're seeing in homelessness with regards to some of the shelters are single mothers with children. And so when you talk about trying to bring in, work with that, I was astonished by some of the numbers that they're presenting to us with regards to that. And all that being said, I'll be more than, was that meeting co-posted? I would make that co-post. I'll be more than willing to attend that to bring in some of the initiatives that we're looking at and trying to do. I mean, with regards to the task force that we've created, it is a very difficult issue, and we talk about that. And I know that I've had conversations at these meetings with both the community impact unit from Salem, and Beverly has one now as well. And they've tried to identify the homeless population and who's out on the street on a daily basis and how they bring those people in and get them the services that they need. And it's a very important issue. Mr. Zawicki is not wrong with that. But when the temperature does hit a certain degree, irregardless of what state you're in, they will provide you with a bed, because they realize that, at a certain point, even people who don't want to conform to the rules, at some point also need a little help, because it's, the weather outside's, with the snow and the cold, it's been nasty out there, so they try to bring everybody in, so.
Well, thank you, and thank you for your hard work on this issue. Mr. Sawicki is very close to this issue, and I think it's fitting that it go to Public Health, Safety, and the Environment, co-postal Committee of the Whole, and fitting that we keep him involved in this issue with us. Any further discussion? Being none. On the motion to move this to Public Health, Safety, and the Environment, co-postal Committee of the Whole, all those in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. The matter carries. Further petitions.
We have a request from B&S Fitness to hold a road race, the Black Cat, in use of city streets on Saturday, March 7, 2015.
Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to carry this over to the next meeting.
Under discussion.
Under discussion. I don't have I mean, the logistics around road races, if this road race had been presented to us 6 weeks ago, it would have just gone through, and it's an event that B&S has run for the last, I can't remember how many years, but they've been doing it for a while. But logistically, right now, the fact that that they've already marketed this road race, they're already taking pre-registrations for this road race, irregardless of whether or not we approve this right now, I don't think matters to them, because if it did matter to them, they wouldn't be marketing it before they come before us. My biggest concern right now is when I look out that window and I see 6-foot snow piles, 7-foot snow piles, and I hear maybe a storm this weekend, maybe a storm next Wednesday, whatever, and this event is a little more than 3 weeks away. My biggest concern is A, whether or not the streets are going to be clear enough for this event to occur, and then B, if they are clear enough, one of the things that we haven't started talking about yet, which is going to be, if it isn't the next meeting, it's going to be the next meeting, is there's going to be some appropriation for DPS, for contracted services and or hot top, because the nasty secret of all this snow and weather that we're having is potholes. So as soon as all that stuff out there starts melting, then we get a couple freeze thaw cycles, the streets are just going to go poof. And we're going to have potholes everywhere, and we're going to be, according to their application, we're going to be having 1,000 runners after, maybe the snow melts by then, and maybe we can take this up in 2 weeks and allow it to happen. But the conversations that I've already had with the head of Park and Rec and with Lieutenant Przewski is, if we do move this forward, Lieutenant Przewski, and I'll leave that to the will of the body, my recommendation would be, if they've already started marketing this road race, as from what I understand, they've already got it out there, they're taking applications. If we, in 2 weeks, say, sorry, the roads aren't ready, they're not sufficed, that's fine. If we want to pass it tonight and leave it up to Lieutenant Przewski, because I talked to Lieutenant Przewski about this as well, in a 2-week time period, it's up to Lieutenant Przewski to make that determination. I mean, we're the body that allows these events to occur on the road, so I think it should be in this body, so I think we should just hold it for 2 weeks. They've already taken the applications. 2 weeks' time, if the roads look like we can be ready for it, and we're not looking at any more long-range snow events, then we'll allow it to happen. It's an event that has happened, but logistically right now, if I'm asked to approve this road race right now, I'm going to say no, because I don't think as a city, I feel comfortable inviting people from outside the city to run around on our city streets when we can't even provide streets wide enough for some people to park on. So that's just my concern. I would hold it over to the next meeting, and hopefully, maybe things change in 2 weeks. Like, we all can only pray that the sun comes out and melts this stuff, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Thank you, Councilor McCarthy. Councilor Legault.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you, I'm a little confused why they waited so long to ask permission for this race. They're usually 6, 7, 8 months out, so this is obviously a glitch in their logistical system. I'm going to support the council from Ward 1 on this, especially in view of the snow that we have on the streets right now and the snow that we may be getting this weekend and possibly once or twice again next week. We can look at this again fresh in 2 weeks. I don't want to put this on Lieutenant Przewski. I don't think that's his place. I mean, he makes the final decision, but I don't think we should pass the buck to Lieutenant Przewski here. I think that holding off on this so that we can see what happens and maybe hear from B&S in the meantime about what their thoughts were would be the best way to go.
Councilor Torrio.
Thank you, Mr. President. I did some looking at this, and when this came in and I saw this in the packet, I took a look at the dates and the dates of the application, and I actually called over to BNS to ask them, hey, do you realize that there's a lot of snow out here? Do we have any kind of plan? Well, they started the process. They first filed the form to the Parks and Rec Department at the beginning of January, and then this was received by the city clerk's office on the 21st, right just before, but not in time to make our last meeting, so it was received by the city clerk's office on the 21st of January. So it's been in there for a while. We're just getting to it now only a few weeks beforehand. So they haven't been, it's not like they just submitted it, but it was fairly late in the game. And this race has been marketed for a while. As I say, it's not quite as late as it looks from us getting it tonight. That said, we do have the reality that we have feet and feet and feet of snow on the ground. They are potentially prepared if there is a safety issue or a snow issue to change the date of the race to a subsequent Saturday. I'm comfortable with whatever the will of the body is here on this in putting it off. I don't have any inherent problem with the race, but I do think we have to be very cognizant of, the reality out on the road and the road conditions. So the snow is a big issue. By the time we get to April races, hopefully this won't be an issue, but this one could be an area of concern depending on what the weather does over the next couple of weeks. Whether this body wants to hold on to it for 2 weeks, or whether this body wants to let the Salem police make the decision whether it's going to be postponed or not. I know 2 years ago, the Salem police made the decision to take which is also up in here, take the Festivus race and move that back a week due to snow. That was in 2013 that happened. And so that is, the precedent is set in terms of moving it back. I don't have like I said, I don't have a problem either way with it. We just have to be aware of the, of the situation out there with these, and I guess this is a risk with early season races.
Thank you, Councilor Torriello. Councilor Epley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I recall, I think it was maybe just November or so of this past year that the Committee on Community and Economic Development held a meeting on the whole Festivus issue, 5K issue. I think it might behoove the council to have this referred to that committee, to the Community Affairs and Economic Development, to have a meeting, a committee meeting, maybe on the day before our next council meeting, same day, to invite BNS Fitness to come here to answer some of these questions. I think might make sense, and also, frankly, maybe to also address one question which is outstanding on the routing sheet. It says a $315 donation to charity, or on the application itself, it's not clear if it's 3K, meaning 3,000, or $315. The amount of donation, of a charitable donation, is in question there, and so I think that's a question that we need to get answered, and so maybe a committee meeting would address that.
Thank you, Councilor Epley. Councilor Legault.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you, before I address the Ward 4 councilors' request for a committee meeting, I would just like to say I'm looking at these other road races here, and BNS is asking us, the Boys and Girls Club is scheduling a race for August, asking now. The Park and Rec is asking for the Derby Street Mile, which I think is actually run by BNS for August, and they're asking today. The Boys and Girls Club is asking for a Thanksgiving race, and they're asking today. Parents United is asking for permission for the Festivus race, and that's in December. I just think that, I'm not respecting that. They obviously just made a mistake here and filed this late. I would rather not bring this to committee right now for a couple of reasons, some having to do with weather. I have found that scheduling some of these smaller committee meetings to be a bit of a logistical difficulty, and I'm not sure that I could make it happen in 2 weeks, especially with the weather that we've been having and the weather that we may be getting. I think this should just remain in council as it is. We do have a council meeting. We can always invite them to come to that meeting, can we not? So I would rather just go with the Ward 1 councilor suggesting that this stay in the full council for now.
Thank you, Councilor Legault. Councilor Epley.
I didn't actually make a motion, so I'll stay seated.
Any further discussion? On the motion to hold this over to next council meeting, all those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. The matter carries. Further petitions.
We have a request from the Boys and Girls Club to hold a road race, the bridge and back, and use of city streets on Sunday, August 2nd, 2015.
Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I don't think this one's mine. I mean, the Boys and Girls, the Bridge and Back, I think that runs mostly through Ward 2. So I would defer to the Ward 2 councilor on this one.
So be it. Councilor Famico.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would actually move that we refer this to the Committee on Community and Economic Development. As was just mentioned, last year there was some discussion about the amount of charitable donations as well as routes. And while this one is specifically for the Boys and Girls Club, I don't think we can put in one race over another. I think this would be the time, whereas the closest race on the next set of docket is in August. That's months out. It would give a smaller committee ample time to schedule a meeting and give us time to go through this process, how much is going to charitable donations, and to have the wheels running for the rest of the year.
Thank you, Councilor.
Thank you, Mr. President, through you to the Ward 2 councilor. I'm going to be Mr. No today, I think. I would ask, I mean, when the races are for the Boys and Girls Club, all of the proceeds go to the Boys and Girls Club. That's a general rule right there. I would like to address the council on this a little bit, take this opportunity. I am looking at road races again. We looked at it last year. We did have a meeting. We ended up tweaking processes, and I think we need to tweak them again. I will be having meetings on the road race process as we get into the spring and the summer. On this one here, I just don't think that this is the proper reason for it. The Boys and Girls Club will get all of the funds that are raised after costs are paid. So that's also something that I'd like to look at, but I want to look at it in its entirety and not as one race. So with all due respect to the Ward 2 council, I would decline to have a committee meeting at this particular point.
Thank you, Councilor Legault. Councilor Siegel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I agree with Councilor at large to my right here. Looking at the application, they clearly state that 100% of the proceeds will go to the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Salem. So I don't think there's any reason to put this in committee.
Thank you. Councilor Famico.
Councilor Gerard, I have first.
All right. Yeah. Councilor Gerard, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. As someone who has run this race before, this actually is a fantastic race, and everything goes towards the Boys and Girls Club. And all of the volunteers there are Boys and Girls Club members. And other than that big bridge, it's not that steep. So, I don't know, maybe we'll see some of you out there.
Nope. You're not. Councilor Famico.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think this also does go beyond the actual part of a charitable donation too. My good counselor from Ward 6 had shown me before what other cities even do to let people know about these road races, people in the neighborhoods. I don't think we're doing enough right now to communicate with people that are along these race routes to let them know what's going through their neighborhood when, and also the businesses. So it does go beyond the charitable donations. It goes to the communication, it goes to the planning element as well.
Thank you, Councilor Famico. Councilor Toriel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll say, I can't help but naturally prefer the races that are run entirely for charitable causes, although they do have costs that they have to pay as part of it. They have to pay for timing, they have to pay for promotion. So, these are wind up being, they're not for-profit events, but they are paying people for running them. However, I also don't have, so long as they meet our requirements and pay the detail fees and the appropriate closure fees and everything else that goes along with it, I don't have a problem with the city streets being used for-profit races either, where they make a small charitable donation. That part of it isn't really an issue in my sense. I don't have any problem with this race or any of the subsequent races that we have here that have been customarily held for, these are all repeat customers basically that we've run in years past. I will be declining my Ward 6 colleagues' suggestion that I run this one. That's a little too far for me. But, that all said, there is a place to probably take the process that we're using for notification and all the like and work that out a little bit further, and there's some things that probably should be addressed by the Committee on Community and Economic Development about racing. We've made a lot of, from my first year here when there was pretty much no control over it, to today, I think we have a much better process than we've had when I started here. I think there's places to improve it as well. We had our first real conflict show up last year and we were able to work with it. but that could happen in the future. The rec department has been more diligent in trying to look at the calendar in that regard, so they're doing their part in it. So I would prefer that we approve these races that have been held before, and mainly hold, if we're going to put particular races under scrutiny, I think for the most part, we should be looking at new events that have not previously been held, as opposed to ones where there is a precedent. So I'm fine with approving this one and the subsequent races as well, should we do that.
Thank you, Councilor Turiel. Councilor Legault.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you, I'll be brief. Just want to make sure that everybody understands that it's not my intention, and I'm sure it is not our intention as a council to target any particular races, and certainly not to target any particular group or company that's running these races. They serve a good purpose. They raise a lot of money. They provide recreation for people. God knows there's a lot of people out there that are running these days. I wish I could be one of them, but I can't. We will be holding community and economic development meetings over the coming year in regards to road races. We had some ad hoc committee meetings a little more than a year ago. We got together, we tweaked the system a little bit, we tightened the process up a little bit. I think those conversations need to continue. I think we need to tighten the process up a little more. This is a fine example. It's just, we have to have a deadline. The race request has to be in by a certain date, a certain amount of days prior to the actual date of the race. So we will be looking at that, I assure you, and I would like to remind everybody, my committee members and everybody else, that when I try to schedule these meetings, be easy on me. I get kind of grouchy when I can't get everybody to agree on a date. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor Legault. Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I couldn't agree more. He said it perfectly. My good colleague, allied colleague across the aisle. It is nothing, even the last race with regards to the Black Cat 1020, it's nothing to do with the race. On that one, if that race had come before us 3 weeks ago, I would have passed it. It happens, it's done. But with regards to, if you're asking me to pass it right now with the snow, it's nothing to do with the race, it's to do with public safety. It's to do with the safety of the runners, it's to do with the safety of the citizens. These races, the list of races right here, I can honestly say I don't have a problem with any single one of them. Boys and Girls Club, ever since Doug Boland moved over from our Park and Rec Department over to the Boys and Girls Club, and he started running the same roads, different road races, but road races that he used to run for the Park and Rec Department, he does a fabulous job. And I know that every nickel beyond expenses goes back to the Boys and Girls Club. The Thanksgiving race that's going to come up later, I have no problem with that race. We have, my family and my neighborhood, we have fun with that race. We go out, we put out speakers, we play music, we have streamers, tambourines, we clap as they run by, and then we go, then I leave and go to the football game, and my wife cooks the turkey. So, I mean, we just turn it into a family event for that. It's just, these are great events. They've been around for a while. I understand the request from my colleague to my right with regards to having some oversight, and I leave it to Councilor Legault and his committee that's looked at this last year to tighten up some of those rules, because I think that one of the stipulations ought to be, if you're going to hold a road race, your application should be in, whether it's 2 months in advance or 3 months in advance, so it gets through the process, so we're not dealing with something that's going to happen in 3 weeks. Because when you know, it's just the fact that it's just the way it is. So no disrespect to anyone, they all run great events, they all do great jobs, but with regards to that particular vote we just took, my bigger concern is public safety and the safety of the runners. So that's why they took that vote to hold that over. With regards to these road races, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and pick and choose and rate one above the other, but they're all fabulous organizations. They do fabulous work. They raise a large amount of money for great causes, so I don't have an issue with it.
Thank you, Councilor McCarthy. Now, the matter before us is to approve this road race. Any more discussion? All those in favor of the motion? All those opposed? The ayes have it. The matter carries. Let's run on to the next petition.
We have a request from the Park and Rec to hold a road race, the Derby Street Mile, and use of city streets on Friday, August 21st, 2015.
Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for approval.
Under discussion.
No discussion.
Thank you. On the motion for approval, all those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. The matter carries. Very good. Further petitions.
We have a request from the Boys and Girls Club to hold a road race, the Wild Turkey Run, in use of city streets on Thursday, November 26, 2015.
Councilor Famico.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for approval.
Under discussion.
Yes, just that I hope we get the Community Economic Development meeting rolling sooner versus later, so that in the future, when we have discussions like this, we have everything tightened up and know whether or not the charitable donations matter more than the for-profits, and we are in agreement for that.
Thank you, Councilor Famico. Any further discussion? Being none, thank you. On the motion for approval, all those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it, the matter carries. Further petitions.
We have a request from Parents United of Salem to hold a road race, the Festivus 5K, and use of city streets on Sunday, December 13, 2015, with a snow date of Sunday, December 20th, 2015.
Councilor McCarthy.
I like that. Thank you, Mr. President. I move for adoption.
Under discussion.
No discussion.
Thank you. On the motion for approval, all those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. The matter carries. Further petitions.
We have a list of license applications for public guide and taxi operators.
Councilor Siegel.
I move that they be granted, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Siegel. Under discussion.
No discussion.
Being none. On the motion for approval, on the motion that these be granted, I mean, all those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. The matter carries. Further petitions.
We have a license application for a taxi operator.
Councilor Siegel.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move that it's denied.
Under discussion?
No discussion.
No further discussion? Being none, on the motion put by Councilor Siegel for denial, all those in favor? All those opposed? The denial carries. Further petitions.
I have a request for a hearing from Sandy Jacques Gill on the denial of his taxi operator license.
Councilor Siegel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move it's referred to the Committee on Ordinance, License, and Legal Affairs to hold an executive session.
Under discussion.
No, Mr. President.
Being none. On the motion to move to Committee on Ordinance, License, and Legal Affairs, all those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. The matter carries. Further petitions.
We have 3 tag day license applications.
Councilor Siegel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move it referred to Committee on Ordinance, License, and Legal Affairs.
Under discussion?
No, sir.
Being none. On the motion to move to Ordinance, License, and Legal Affairs, all those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. The matter carries. Further petitions.
We have 3 drain layer contract operator license applications.
Councilor Siegel.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move that they be granted.
Under discussion.
No, Mr. President.
Any further discussion? Being none, thank you. On the motion that these licenses be granted, all those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. The matter carries. Further petitions.
We have a list of claims.
Councilor Siegel.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move they're referred to Committee on Ordinance, License, and Legal Affairs.
No discussion?
No, Mr. President.
Being none, no further discussion. On the motion to move these to Ordinance, License, and Legal Affairs Committee, all those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. The matter carries. Further petitions.
We have 1 constable, 1 drain layer, and 1 sign bond.
Councilor Siegel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move we refer these to Committee on Ordinance, License, and Legal Affairs, and return with approval.
Under discussion.
No, Mr. President.
Being none. No further discussion. On the motion to move these to Ordinance, License, and Legal Affairs Committee, all those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. The matter carries. Unfinished business.
We have second passage of an ordinance amending traffic, Chapter 42, Section 50B, handicap parking, limited time, repealed, Bedford Street.
Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for adoption of the second and final passage.
Under discussion.
No discussion.
Being no discussion. Any further discussion? Being none. On the motion by Councilor McCarthy that this be for second and final passage, all those in favor? Opposed? The ayes have it. The matter carries. Senior Councilor O'Keefe.
Move for adjournment.
On the motion by Councilor O'Keefe for adjournment, hopefully no discussion. All those in favor? All those opposed? The ayes have it. The matter carries. Stand adjourned. Thank you.
Open that again?
That's tonight's stuff.
Yeah.
I'm gonna meet in Maria's Market.
All these people trying to make work for me, my God.
One walk around the block.
Did you say all these people trying to make what?
Trying to make work for me. Oh, committee meeting here, the committee meeting there. Here a committee, there a committee.
Yeah.
Everywhere a committee.
That at-large counselor is
I actually,
you're gonna put the
sort of stand prior to the meeting today.
Stand up there myself, I understand.
I've done that loop, I've done a lot of the loop over the last few days. Been downtown a bunch. Yeah.
So that's it.
I'll walk and then I'll be
Walk-in snack.
And then the value for use of Salem versus.
Hey, walk from street to street.
Oh, yeah. I've seen a bunch of that.
Shovel city sidewalk.
Yep.
Areas where load is, don't park on us, no
Oh, and
occupancy.
also, did you see some of the icicles of doom?
How much would it cost to rent a city street?
Got a bunch of that on this street and all that.
Well, and when there's heavy traffic all the time.
Well, that, it
All of
depends on the
those
street.
kinds of things.
So I asked her to,
We thought we all against it.
What was her response?
she says,
Overhang.
interesting question.
Turned out to just,
She said,
the tax had spilled some water, had spilled a bunch of water, and it was
There's a
leaking.
value to
We
everything.
were lucky.
Let's put a cost would be. You got big ones, they're all in Ward One.
it's been discussed.
It has been.
You know, throw that in there, what the hell?
Let's buy some equipment, maybe they have a snow melter.
That's actually,
Well, because what's
that
gonna happen
conversation's
is.
been, has occurred a dozen times.
I know, but that's a great, and he said pilot, but it's a silent, service and move taxes. That would be a great thing for the.
Because what's gonna happen is if they do actually this painting is gonna make all those.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. The thing is now when they do want
Service, it's a service and move tax. They're not, that's what they should be doing.
Can I share this with you?
Yes.
Maria doesn't want to.
No.
Well, I already know what it's like in Hawthorne, because I ran into a constituent of mine in court today. I see you two walking around, I'm calling the police. No, I'm not.
As well you should. Yeah, I guess I
But no, I know what it's like, because I ran into a buddy of mine who lives in Hawthorne.
I'll show you some of the things they got.
I've seen your pictures.
They got Maria's, where they dump it on the sidewalk. Down to Steve's, where they move it down, Steve's takes the loader and goes down and they add to the snowbank down the street and make it look like.
Oh, the one across the street.
Yeah, Steve's takes it all the way down to Cafe along, all the way down there. And what they do is they take the.
Well, hopefully these places are getting tickets from the building inspector.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna say Steve should be doing that, but we frequently dump snow in their parking lot.
No, dump snow back.
Okay.
But they took out.
I don't know if it's bad, but I know we've dumped snow in their parking lot.
Believe me, I
It's Salem's town.
Oh, we had an alternate.
I know this because I went to, that was like.
That was ended up being longer than I expected.
Office work. You know, standing up in front of a desk, and people got to take time, that's why. I have to check with the ward council, because I don't know, he doesn't really wanna, he doesn't wanna talk about anything.
You got trouble seeing light.
Yeah. I hope he sees the light to move something in his committee.
Listen. These things don't, we put LEDs in streetlights. The red, yellows, and greens. So what do we have to do now? We have to go back and figure out how to put a heater in there because the lights don't generate any heat. And so when the ice and snow sits on them, they freeze, and then you can't see them. Which was never an issue before because the regular light bulbs used to throw off heat. So now you have a potential for a safety hazard because you're trying to save electricity because they don't generate. I mean, I'm all about being environmentally correct. I mean,
That's the thing.
I put out 3 recycle bins, I do the green compost bin.
It's green two ways.
Yeah.
You save the money and it's green, environmentally green, so.
So what are you gonna, so now we're gonna, whatever light's on the longest, the red light, we're gonna make the red light a regular light bulb, so it heats up the thing so they don't ice up, or, you know what I'm saying? It's like,
But Jeff was saying, they're gonna test it and they will find out which ones work the best. And that's the one.
It's funny you said that, because TZ was complaining a couple months ago about lights somewhere they weren't. It's hard to find.